Ellie Henrys is a women's health coach, entrepreneur, and mom who has made it her mission to help other moms incorporate joyful, non boring exercise into their daily routines. She's also the host of the podcast Happier Active, where she talks about all things health and wellness. Hey, Ellie, thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. I love having I just love having different conversations with different women and learning a little bit about your stories and why you do what you do. So um what I thought was specifically particularly interesting about your website when I went and checked it out was, you really talk about the importance of women being like active participants in their own health journeys. What does that mean, being an active participant?
So I think what I see a lot, and so I work with a lot of like new mums and but also just women in general. So you like go to the doctor, right, for your 15-minute appointment and they say, oh, you need to lose some weight or you need to do this. Okay, bye.
Mm-hmm.
And then like what do you do next? You have time. You probably already know most of those things. You've probably tried lots of things before. It all feels very overwhelming. And also then online you're getting loads of adverts for like, oh, here's just a pill you can take that's going to fix everything. Um, and like, but we all know it's not really that simple, right? It's way harder than that. And often, even if you take the pill, it might have like horrible side effects, but then you're going to stop taking it at some point. And then if you've not made other changes, other stuff's going to creep in or whatever. You might not be able to afford it. And but I guess by being an active participant, I mean like taking control of the things that you can take control of for yourself. Like we all know that with our small children, right? When they're having a tantrum, we don't just, it can be part of the tactic, but we do something about it, or if they're having a bad day, we try and fix it. And it's about trying to help people do those same things for themselves.
I always get so frustrated when I see a lot of the like fitness advice online is these like I call them like the dude bros, where it's like these, super chiseled men who one don't have children. And even if
Mhm.
they do, they're not the default parent, right? So they're able to prioritize their own fitness. But also what I have a hard time sort of grasping is that this idea of like calories in versus calories out, which is very simple for men whose hormones are on like a 24-hour cycle, but women
Right.
like I remember when I right before I did IVF, I had to lose a whole pile of weight.
Mhm.
I lost 40 pounds, but the week of my period, even though I was still dieting, like sticking to my diet and exercising, I would not lose a single pound. Like I would have to work hard just to maintain weight that week,
Mhm.
which is like I didn't do anything differently other than the fact that I was on my period. So, I wonder if this is something that women are even aware of when they come to you, that, your hormones play a huge role in your ability to lose or maintain weight.
Yes. And like they change, right? So when you have a baby, so we talk about in women, like, so men have adolescence, they have their big hormone change once. And then, sometimes things like gradually decrease or increase with their testosterone or whatever, but basically that's it. And then for women, you have adolescence, then if you have every pregnancy, you have this huge, and birth, you have this huge, huge shift. If you do IVF, which I also did, you're pumping loads of hormones into yourself. So that has an effect. And then menopause and perimenopause, and that can take 10 to 15 years. And that can change in sort of peaks and troughs as well. And each one of those changes, it'll totally change how your body responds to its cycle anyway. But then exercise, how you eat, what does and doesn't work. It might even change your taste buds, your gut health. So it's like we have to constantly be learning stuff about ourselves and acting on that if we want to.
Yeah, or it's just some of the advice I find is very like I roll my eyes at it because it's
Yeah.
so like, like just wake up before the kids to get a workout in. But like so many of my friends, like I'm blessed, my child sleeps in every day. She's up usually at like 7:30. I'm like I won the child lottery. But a lot of my friends and family, like their kids are up at like 5:30. Like, what are you supposed to get up at 3 so you can go to the gym and get a workout?
Well,
Like,
and ours can like, I think she can like sense movement happening in the house. Like because she'll sleep in till 7 if we're very quiet and not up. But if me and my husband both get out of bed, I feel like even if we don't speak, but I feel like she can just kind of sense that the energy in the house is different. And then she'll be like, oh, hi, I want to join in.
our babies have FOMO. They just want to join in on the party all the time. But, what sort of advice do you give to moms who, care. Like, I have a friend who had a baby recently. She's really struggling to drop some of that baby weight. She's got like the final 15 pounds and she's freaking out. Like, I just can't drop this weight. And she's working so hard. And, I feel for her because when it becomes obsessive at a certain point, right? It's hard to focus on
Yeah.
anything else.
Well, so there's a couple of things in that. So the first thing I want to say is that if you told me when I was a teenager or even in my 20s that I would end up doing like health and fitness stuff, I would have thought you were crazy. I was not into sport at school, which I think is partly how I've got into this because I like how I feel when I move my body, but I'm not really big on the gym. Most of my exercise I do either outside or at home. Like I love walking, I like being in nature, all that stuff. But it's finding ways to make it fun is one thing for movement. Oh, and actually I just want to go back to and then the other thing is I think it's not always very helpful to be like super focused on weight because it's often not what'll probably happen when she gets to that 15 is that won't have actually been the root problem because often like when women have had children they're feeling very like recently they're feeling very overwhelmed, their body might have changed shape, so like I got back to like my pre-baby weight, but still loads of my clothes didn't fit because like my body is a different shape now and things have happened to it. And actually finding things that made me feel confident, so like getting a new dress that flattered my new body shape made me feel way better than like losing an extra 5 pounds and like that. And so sometimes the focus can be in the wrong place because we think that that's gonna fix all the problems.
And I would also argue that it's not really a reasonable expectation for you to think your body's going to go back to the way it was before you had children because it changes you permanently, depending on like I had a C-section. So where the scar healed, just the way my fat rolls down, basically, it hangs differently than it did before I had a baby, and that's because I had, 7 layers of tissue cut open to bring my child into this world. And I feel like moms were so hard on ourselves, maybe because of like celebrity and diet culture and stuff that you have to like bounce back immediately and have this perfect toned stomach. But, those people have nannies and personal chefs and housekeepers and assistants, like, so they're able to just literally focus on that and nothing else, but we can't, right?
Yeah, and I think it's difficult because there is like such a focus on how we look. And I really want to help people feel better. That's why I have happier in my title. And I'm really keen. I'm like not a toxically positive person, right? Like I like to acknowledge people's trauma. I'm happy to talk about it. I don't shy away from these things. And I agree that they exist. But what I want to do is help people find ways to move forward that are going to make them feel happier. And like really focusing on 5 pounds is sitting in feeling bad. Or is actually being like, okay, what are some things I can do that I really enjoy, maybe with my kids, that are going to be fun, that are going to make me feel good. And there might be a side benefit that I lose a bit more weight, but also that other benefits are going to be I'm going to feel way better about myself. Maybe I'm going to bond with my kids. So like one of the things I say to people having a hard time fitting it in, like have a dance party at home, put a load of music on, dance with your kids, your heart rate's going to get up. You'll probably get really sweaty if you're doing it really enthusiastically. And like you're all having fun and you're getting some cardio in.
And you're probably creating core memories because, like, I remember dance parties with my dad in the kitchen when I was a kid on Sundays when we made pancakes. So there's some balance there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we often, I think, are trained to think of like exercise as punishment, and where it can be, it should be fun. Like I'm gonna say, like straight up, I don't like running, but it's really good for my mental health, so I do it. But I think of that as medical, not really exercise. Like I like how I feel afterwards, so I do it. But I'm not trying to like run a marathon or win any. It's just like half an hour, get it done because I feel better afterwards. But then all my fun stuff, that's like going for a walk, like taking my daughter out in nature, like, and we look at trees and birds and aeroplanes. She's obsessed with at the moment because she's two.
Yep, that'll do it. Yeah, I like going for walks. I think a great way to get out more is to have a dog because they need to go out, so somebody needs to do that. So that helps. I have a dog. But I like going for walks in the neighborhood, but that to me, I like going alone without my child because then I can throw on a podcast or, the Tortured Poets Department, whatever the case may be, and just like I think of it as like me time, and like a lot of the time I don't even end up walking for the full time. I'll like just go sit in a park or whatever. But, I did walk to get there. So there is some movement, but I feel like I do it just to feel better about myself. There's no specific goal. I'm not trying to lose weight. Like I feel like my body is what it is. Like I had to lose weight to do IVF. That was like a non-starter. But then you do IVF and you get all the hormones and you have a bit, you gain all the weight back. Like it was completely pointless from a health perspective. But what neither here nor there. But I guess my question to you is, what are some ways that you can make exercise fun for yourself,
So this is tricky. So it basically is so varied person to person. And so lots of people, if you like community or you need the like classes can be really good because they can be fun. And if you can find an instructor that you like, and if you like being with other people or you've got some girlfriends to go with, that gives you that like accountability and you can make it social afterwards. So for example, where I live, there's a there's a brewery that does a yoga class on Sunday morning, right? And it's like $15 and you get an hour's yoga and a beer afterwards, or they have kombucha if you don't drink alcohol. But it's really fun. And then we all hang around afterwards. And so actually when my baby was really small, that was my first thing that I started doing afterwards because I got a bit of exercise and a bit of social time on a Sunday morning. And that was really nice because it filled my cup in more than one way. So some people need that. And that was good because if I didn't go for whatever reason, someone would send me a message being like, oh, we missed you. And that helped me keep going. And you kind of need that sometimes. If you're someone who finds it really difficult to exercise with other people because you're like embarrassed about it, then like at home classes, the great thing about the internet is there's all these amazing people you can find online who are going to give you classes. There's YouTube exists, and you'll definitely be able to find someone who like meshes with you. There's loads of people who are not like those fitness bros, telling you you're lazy. There's loads of like mums who are just doing it, at home. You can follow along. There's loads of people in normal bodies.
Well, and like there's even different fitness level videos. Like what I found, like even what was considered an easy workout for me, because I weigh over 300 pounds, like an easy workout was still extremely taxing for me at PCOS. So that I'm always worried about like, my cortisol levels and getting the heart rate too high, like that kind of stuff. But I found this one guy who did these like low intensity workouts specifically for women with PCOS. And I loved it because I was like, I can do it. I'm working hard and I don't feel like, oh my God, I can't keep up. I'm giving up. It was actually something I could commit to. And I've seen videos for like plus size women that are like chair exercises where you can just do weights and stuff. Like there really is something for everybody, right?
Yes. And I also think like the other thing is doing 3 5-minute workouts throughout the day is as effective as doing one 15-minute workout. So like something that I've started doing a bit because it's quite fun, but like so like right before bath time, my husband will do like 5 squats with the toddler 'cause she thinks it's hilarious, that kind of thing. That's just as good as, it's not just as good, it's like going to gym, it's a weighted squat, you're doing, and it's fun. And the other thing is like I involve my daughter in stuff because we do a lot of that anyway, of like involving her in, we've got a toddler tower, she kind of helps with the cooking, I let her stir stuff. But so when I'm working out, if I'm just doing a quick bit, like I'll have her hold my water and make like a huge fuss when she passes it to me, or have her count my reps. She can only count to like 3 or 4. So, we just do that over and over again. But like that makes it fun for both of us. And that also makes it short because she doesn't have a very long attention span. So you can just do that a couple of times a day and you're kind of showing them that it's important. And then like you were saying earlier with your time to yourself, when my husband's at home, we both go out for a walk on our own after bedtime for like 20 minutes, take turns. And I find that like such a good way to like de-stress. So like if he's doing bedtime while he's doing that, I'll go out for a walk and then he'll have one while I'm making dinner, or vice versa. And then it means by the time we sit down for dinner together, we've both had a bit of time out on our own outside to just let all the stress of bedtime off and out. And then we maybe have an hour together where we're present and ready to spend some time together, not bringing in the tantrum at bedtime to our very small amount of time that we get to see each other every day.
For sure. I love that you involve your child in doing these like daily. I'm a big proponent in that my daughter helps me make dinner every single night. There are plenty of age appropriate tasks. Like you don't have to hand them a butcher knife. Like, there's ways they can help. But like I get her to set the table every night. My daughter's 3, so she's like started. And to me, I always say I'm playing the long game. So like, yeah, it takes a long time right now because I have to hand her like one fork at a time for her to set the table. But I'm like, within a year, she's gonna be doing it by herself, and then I don't have to do it. Like it's,
Yeah.
it's you're playing the long game is the way I look at it. But I'm curious, like how your daughter responds to, the fitness activities, whether it's going for a walk or doing a dance party or doing squats and lunges and stuff. Is she into it or does she push?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, she doesn't, it's mostly fun. And if she does, like, I'm like you, we include her in. I actually read this study that when kids are included in the household, they grow up to be kind of happier and healthier. And like you said, it does take ages. One of the things we have her do is she has to put her own clothes in the laundry at the end of the day by at bath time. And I mean, sometimes at the moment it takes like 5 minutes because it's like a delaying tactic, right? So she'll pick them all up and then just run around downstairs trying to avoid but and it's fine because we know that now. So we just do everything, everything takes a bit longer. But again, it's important because I want to kind of include her in our lifestyle, not kind of change everything because as a kid, and like you say, it's the long game. I'm hoping that means in a year or so she just knows that's part of the routine. You have to do that.
But isn't it
And I want,
maybe that's part of the point is that our kids slow us down, right? We rush through everything and try and get through everything quickly, and they kind of force us, even though it can be infuriating, they force us to kind of take it down a notch, right?
yeah, and I mean, I want my daughter to grow up with like a robust sense of self-esteem and the idea that prioritizing yourself is not a terrible thing to do. And so you have to prioritize that for yourself, which is hard for me. I'm always I have traditionally always been a people pleaser. So like learning to be like, actually, no, I'm a better parent. I'm a better mum, better partner. I'm better at my job when I've done some stuff for myself first. Um, and where I can include her in that and show her that, I'm hoping that when she's older, she'll have to do anywhere near as much therapy as I've had to do that for herself.
Oh, oh goodness. Okay, so I have so many questions I still want to get to. Okay. You mentioned earlier that, if you told yourself in your teen years that, if you were going to become like a fitness coach, you would be like, no way. How did you actually get into it? Like, how did that start?
So I guess I really hated like PE at school. It was awful. I was not in any teams. I was quite good at like sprinting, like the kind of individual stuff, but not good at like ball games. Really would always try and get a note to get out of going to school PE, all that. And then as soon as I finished high school, I was like, great, never have to do any of this again. But I've always loved walking. I've always loved being outside. And I guess like in my very late 20s, I moved somewhere new and I didn't know anyone. I didn't really know how to meet people. Anyway, and I joined this like run club. They had like a Couch to 5K program. And my mental health wasn't great. And I kind of knew that exercise would probably help. And I joined this run club and it was just such an amazing community. And I never really graduated beyond walk jogging with them. But so there's a lot of walking, quite a bit of little slow jogging. But the community that I found there and the kind of people, and I could see that it was helping. And again, it was making me get out twice a week to be with other people. And then I got a dog. So same thing. That was you gotta walk twice a day. My dog will not rest unless she's had her 2 days a week of, 2 hours a week of being walked a day, sorry. And then I could start to see that the more I moved, the better I felt. And when we moved to the US from the UK, I couldn't do my previous job. And so I slowly started doing some of that here. And it's kind of, I guess, gone out of control.
I love that though. But what's your favorite part about what you do? Like, I know you work primarily with like moms and women. I imagine the stories are probably the best part.
Yeah, the thing that I find really heartbreaking is like women who come to me and they are so overwhelmed and they feel like they're failing as mothers. And when I see them doing what they do and work objectively from the outside, they are like amazing mothers. They're very like thoughtful, they're doing everything, but somehow they feel like they're not. And so like for me, the like privilege of this work is seeing people like find that self-esteem and like blossom and understand for themselves what everyone else from the outside can see, which is that they're like amazing individuals who are raising thoughtful, caring kids. Like, because the kind of people who come to work with someone like me, they're already they're wanting to improve, and therefore they're already doing a lot of the things, but they don't know the self-esteem bit's missing often.
And that's the hardest part, because I think we worry about so much. Fitness is so tied to appearance and beauty standards. And, I remember when I was in my like very heavy, like, time to work out, I was obsessive about it because I was trying to have a baby. I remember like I was almost not ashamed, but like embarrassed to tell people that I was working out so much, because I was like, well, I'm still fat. So people are going to be like, yeah, okay, sure, you're working out. Like they're not going to believe me. And it was like, why does one, that matter? And like two, like you can be, I believe anyway, I'm sure there's people who disagree, but I believe you can be fit in a larger body.
Oh yeah.
And I know that's like a hot take, that's controversial, but I think it's possible as long as you feel good and
Yeah.
you're not
And some of the
sick.
unhealthiest people I've ever met are really, really skinny, but they're not eating properly. They're not, they're doing things to their body that are like putting huge strain on their heart. Like they look a certain way, but they're not doing things that are going to give them like a long life.
Everybody does something, right? Like I'm fat, I'm overweight, but I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. So and be like lectured by someone who's really thin and eats like a ton of fast food and smokes and drinks, and I'm like, we're kind of the same. Like, what are you talking about here?
Yeah. And all of this stuff is about what, like, my whole thing is helping people find ways to live more fulfilled lives, whatever that means for them. And for some people, that means not really doing any exercise, and that's fine. That's like about wanting to eat better or wanting to figure out some ways to like meditate or be happier or be less stressed. There's many ways that you can be like healthier without, it doesn't have to revolve around going to the gym for an hour a day every day. So
Exactly. And it's impossible to quit those automatic withdrawals from your account. They don't want to stop at all. Oh, okay. Where do people go work with you to find out more information about you?
So Instagram and Threads are like my two main ones. I used to do everything word of mouth, and I'm only becoming better on social media recently. That was my aim for this year. But yeah, Instagram, Threads, Happier Active, and my podcast the same. And the podcast, I talk to like people in different health niches, so you can like learn about like all these many, many ways that you can do stuff to make you healthier, happier, all these things.
Amazing. Your website, your Instagram, your podcast, everything is going to be in the show notes below. So if you're interested, you can go and check it out. Ellie Henrys, thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you like what you heard today, make sure you follow and subscribe to Rebel Mom Boss with Robin Flynn wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, and make sure to leave a review, because that's how other moms will find the podcast too. Until next week.